Hello, today I will introduce you to the Sling framework. After this session, you should have an understanding of Sling request processing, Sling resolving, and script processing mechanism. So, what is Apache Sling? Sling started as an internal project of day management and was included in the installation of AEM. It was since been contributed to the Apache Software Foundation. It is content-centric framework. Sling application use either server-side JavaScript or Java servlets, selected according to simple naming conventions to process HTTP requests in RESTful way. The embedded Apache Felix OSGI framework and console provides a dynamic runtime environment where code and content bundles can loaded, unloaded, and reconfigured at runtime. So again, Apache Sling is a content centric. That means that when processing a request, it first finds the content, then based on the content and request, the data determines how to render it. Sling framework uses a JCR based repository as it's a data storage. In AEM, all its data including the content, application binaries and configurations are all stored in the JCR repository. When processing a web request, Apache Sling resolves the request URL, analyzes the content at the resolved paths, and determines which script in the repository should be executed for rendering content. In addition, a part of that framework provides a very powerful functionality for component and dialog inheritance. Now, let's take a look at Apache Sling script resolution. Suppose we have the following URL. The path here is wiki/sling and it determines the content location. Sling will send a request to the repository to find a node at a path because a node has Sling resource type property here. Sling will use it to search further for suitable script. If such property is missing, Sling will use resource super type or JCR primary type properties. So the value for Sling resource type is wiki page and searching for the resource is carried out in two paths. That is /apps wiki page, and in case the resource is not found there, then it will try to find under libs wiki page. So let's suppose that component resource is found under the apps folder and there you have a few scripts to perform. Here they are. So which one will render out a page? The script is selected based on the best match, which depends on available extension in URL, available selectors, or simply HTTP request method. In our case, best matching script is edit.html.esp. As a result, Sling will execute this script, which should turn me includes other script. Now, let's see how a Sling parses a URL and split into parts. First, we have a protocol, host, and port. Then, part to a content, a node in a repository. It starts right after the host or port and lasts till the first dot. Sample and even are selectors. They starts after path and last till the very last dot before the extension. After selectors, we typically have an extension .html, JSON, XML, etc. Then suffix a/b and get parameters at the end. Suffix and selectors unrequired to use but are very important for the Sling framework. In order to determine suffixes and selectors in the request, you can use the following API. You get the request path info object, and then you have a getters for suffix and selectors here. Now let's see how Sling processes a request to a vRetail page. A content path again defines a resource in the JCR repository, and the extension defines a rendition. It tells Sling how to render this request. Page content vRetail US EN main has a property Sling resource type with the value that is page, this page. Sling will try to find a resource by value of this property, and remember that first searching is done under apps folder and then under libs folder in case it's not found under apps. So resource type is found under the apps folder, and let's take a look at properties of that page. So the page has the property Sling resource supertype. Here it is with this value, which also found under apps, this page. This page is turn inherited from the basic page, again with a Sling resource supertype property, and this basic page is located under this libs folder. Now let's have a demo. I already have my AEM65 instance started, and the first thing we will do is to create a page under the retail US EN, create page, content page. Let me select this template, and then let's create. And now when the page is open, let's add a text component, and let's set some values. This is text. Let's explore this page in CRXD. Here it should be under EN. Here it is. Let's refresh. Yep, text component here, and it contains a text which has put in the dialog. Also, it has few other properties, and the one that we interested in Sling resource type. Let's go to this path under apps. Yeah, here it is, and it does have Sling resource super type again. Let's try to visit it under apps. Yeah, we found it here. Now we will create another script called sample.jsp. Create sample.jsp, and we put here something like is core text, save, and now let's request a page with this sample selector and see what happens. Cool, it works. And you see that we requested a page with a sample selector, and it applies to a request for the component, for the text component, and the best matching script for this request is now sample JSP, not the text JSP. But if you reload the page for the page without selector, let's check. Well, we still see the text that we put it in the dialog. That is, this is text. So also worth mentioning that we modified the core component under the core, which is considered a bad practice. We just did it for the exercise. But when you need to modify the core components at the time, you have to override the behavior. So to override the behavior, you have to modify everything under the VRetail. That in our case, we do have this under VRetail, and we do have the text component here. And let's try to create the sample JSP, and let's add this something like this again. Save app text. Save, and let's try to reload the page. Cool. So it now get the script from the apps folder instead of core. So thank you for your attention and see you in the next part.